And
Do you wanna?
Can I just acknowledge our
claps.
Brady Bunch setup here?
Yes.
We're perfect. We're perfect.
on mine and on the
I'm
Twitch, he's in the
top
middle,
middle.
like the who was it? The nanny?
Yeah.
Yeah.
maybe.
Like,
I don't think anyone
squared, like that weird. Thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight. We're going to dive into the latest expansion and DLC to come out from for the franchise Destiny 2. And it's really interesting. This idea came up a while back involving not just one guest, but a whole group of content creators, artists, and guests throughout the community and friends of the podcast and friends of ours to come on and chat about these games, about all different aspects of it. So tonight we're actually going to dive into the environment design, character development design, the story progression, and also the end game. And I actually look forward to doing a few of these throughout the year and touching on some other games outside of the Destiny genre and this and that, because there's a few games that are coming out that are super amazing looking. Like there's really one that came out that I've been kind of tiptoeing in. It's actually Concrete Genie for PS4. It's a gorgeous game.
I don't know why I thought you were going to say Jesus, Concrete Jesus. I don't know. I'm sorry.
You know what? It could be still
That's
in
where my
development.
brain, for some reason,
Very different game.
It is a very different
he
game.
would hand the concrete smackdown, I'm sure.
Really? Awesome. All right. Well,
Jesus with the concrete smackdown.
with us tonight is, of course, Tyler, Ruby. We have a lot of great people with us, and I'm really excited to dive into this, but I just want to introduce everybody just real briefly. With us, if you're watching the live stream of this on Twitch TV, in the top left corner, we're just going to go right around the horn, is iResolute, who's been on with us before on previous episodes. And we're going to skip me, but then there's Squared T, who's joining us too as well. Thanks for coming on with us, buddy. He's so quiet. He's reserved.
My mic not working or something?
Oh, no, there it is.
Okay.
There it is.
It's just,
Welcome.
I don't know, it's being weird. Okay.
It's all good, brother.
Yay.
Thanks for being
First
here,
time.
man. Nah, no worries. And then underneath him is Anon Pig. You might know him throughout the community as being one of the lore masters and a master of memes and general.
Yeah. I'll take Master of Memes over Lore Master.
How about a lore master of memes?
You can see it.
Memeing lore master?
I'll tell you what,
You've had some good ones lately, Anon.
Lore
Thank
master.
just over time, I think Anon has like goofed me countless times with his memes and just trolling like topics and this and that.
I can't
Dude.
wait for Hawkmoon to come back and I can legitimately tweet it and no one believe me.
The boy who
I
cried
honestly
wolf.
hope it doesn't come back.
They'll all come back.
Oh, yeah.
eventually.
They got them all in their back pocket.
Oh, you know they do. Well, that person you just heard is none other than Cobb One Art. What's up, buddy?
Hi. And
How's Poochie?
Kaiser wanted to say hi.
What's up, Kaiser? He's getting big.
Yeah, he's
He's
no
not going to
longer
get that much
just
bigger.
sits in my hand. Yeah, he's.
But
But yeah, doing good. Thanks for having us.
yeah, thanks for coming on with us. And then to his left, we have none other than the incredible, awesome Farian himself.
Hey, I'm Furion. I draw things from time to time.
That he does.
He's got
And-
the best camera angle, too.
He does. You know
He's,
what?
So
he's
flattering.
very nice.
I was going to
He's
say
a very
something
nice
earlier
guy.
that you changed the camera angle, and I'm really digging it. And
I
I like the wall
I-
behind you.
I took my camera and threw it in a cabinet and found it about 2 minutes before this started. It's still in the cabinet. It's just sitting on my desk over here in the corner.
Just going to toss this over here. That works.
Yeah.
Perfect. Yeah.
It's
Love
fine.
it.
It's fine.
Preparation.
And then also underneath him is none other than Tyler, TCillustrations. What's up, brother? You're throwing me off tonight because I can tell we're getting into the season changes because it's dark there now.
Oh, yeah.
Because
here now.
It is dark now.
Just
well, yeah, it's going to be dark for you, Square. You're up in up by the Great Lakes and everything. I'm in New York, so we're kind of sharing that whole time. Dude, he's on the Pacific side, so it's like we're dark for 3 hours. There, just going down.
I mean, I can't complain.
Like when he's saying like, "Oh, I got to eat dinner real quick," it's like in my mind, it's 10 o'clock at night. It's like, why are you eating dinner at 10 o'clock at night? But to him, it's 7. So. But next to him is none other than the infamous, awesome Ruby, PxlatedTraveler. What's up?
Hi. Good evening.
I'm digging the shirt. What is? Oh, it's a jacket. Oh, all right.
Da-da-da-da.
Twilight Corp. Yes.
There we go.
Oh,
I couldn't say that. I saw the emblem and I'm like, it looks so familiar, and I had to say something about it. But if you're an Aliens fan, there it is.
Yes.
She's representing.
You
And
should see. You should see some art I retweeted recently. I'll send it to you later. You'll appreciate it.
nice.
Yeah.
oh, is it? Did you show us that last night?
Maybe.
With the interactive art that
Yeah, you saw it. Okay. Yes.
or you might have to share it with these
I
guys
will.
because I'll
Do
tell
that.
you what,
It's
this
so good,
was
guys.
it's pretty amazing what this artist did. And Ruby found a couple examples of their work, and I've never seen anything like it. I probably have, but not in a long time. And it's wicked cool how it's done. And he almost, uses a scalpel, and the deeper he like digs into like the art piece, there's more to it. Like it's pretty rad.
Is he Arabic?
I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know either.
There's one guy I follow. He's actually the cousin of a friend of mine in the Destiny community. He does amazing carved, layered art like that. I think his name's Rick or something.
J.F. LeMay.
Okay, no, different guy. But yes,
Okay.
now I want to see it even more.
Find that. I'm interested to see it.
I
Yes,
am
it
looking
is.
for the shit. Here we go. Copy link to tweet. I'll send it both here and on Discord. Chat. There and
Yeah, check him
There.
out when you guys get a chance. It's really
it's too
amazing
good.
work.
It's so good.
That's awesome.
But last but not least, the amazing, talented, and with a brand new headset and rocking out tonight is none other than Mr. Monkus himself. What's up, buddy? Thanks for coming on.
Thank you. This is awesome.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, man. I know you've been rocking out the PS4 and doing the raids. I was so bummed the other night when somebody reached out and was like, dude, you want to do the raid? And it's like, yeah. On PS4, it's like, no. Just switch from PS4 to PC. And
PC's great. It's hard to go back.
I have it on. I have it on both, but most of my friends don't have it on PC, so that's why. Like most of I say my friends, some of the people I play with, including my wife. So
they're friends and loved ones.
yeah.
Nah.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. When Cross-Save went through, and I'm just going to delay on this. Actually, no, this could be a part of it. Shadowkeep introduced one main thing going forward with the Destiny franchise, and that was cross-save. So now, if you're a Destiny player, you're not locked down to just a console and grinding a character. That was my biggest thing with going from PS4 and then to PC was the grind all over again. I didn't want to do it.
Yeah, same here.
Now you have the ability to bring your character with you wherever you go. And there's a few little quirks here and there with it, but ultimately it works. And
that's cool.
Works really well.
It's great.
I spent the first hour of Shadowkeep, that opening mission, oogling how amazing it looked.
Yeah.
It blew my hat off for how great the detail and movement, like 60 frames per second and then up. It looked like a different game, and it handled like a different game.
Did you immediately change your settings and make the widest field of view, or did you?
I did that. immediately
Yep.
There's
wide as possible.
it is it really does look and feel like a different game on PC. So
I don't know if I did or not.
See, I
to be honest.
deliberately didn't, so that when I do go back to Xbox, it's
Yeah.
not that drastic of a change.
I mean, you got to do tactics because it does really change the way that
Yeah,
Like-
yeah.
Mhm.
and I've noticed already in doing that, like some of my, especially my Crucible strategies are like very different if I'm on controller on a console versus on mouse and keyboard on a PC. So
Yeah, absolutely. And I just want to right now what we're going to be doing is just having a nice chill group discussion on Shadowkeep and what we think of different aspects of it. So just first, how is everybody enjoying it so far?
Awesome.
Loving it.
Love it.
It's great.
Good.
It's really excellent update.
I
Very Shadowkeepy.
am a fan of survival horror, and I pick up those survival horror vibes,
Mm-hmm.
especially
Yeah.
when it's boring.
Oh,
It feels darker. Yeah.
Dark moon.
Yeah, they
cave.
definitely pushed on the dark.
Oh, yeah, and that's
Dark side of
great.
the moon.
I mean, I see what you did there. Yeah. With Shadowkeep, if you're not familiar, this is the latest expansion from Destiny 2 or for Destiny 2. And this brings us back to a classic D1 area, and that is actually on the moon. There's YouTube videos and cinematics that you can watch, and it gives you just kind of like a little deep dive. And essentially, a character that's been missing since D1, Eris Morn, has been missing till present and has just resurfaced on the moon, investigating something. I know Anand could probably give a better rundown of this, or any of you guys can, but I'm just going to run through this real quick. But she finds something and uncovers it, and we go to investigate. So nonetheless, we're back on the moon, and they added a lot of area to that patrol zone. I mean, the moon feels like it was almost half the size that it was before.
Just the fact that you can go like in one side of the gate at the Hellmouth and like around.
That is
Right.
like
Mhm.
one of the things I love the most about that area. It's like, yes, I don't have to go all the way around.
Yeah.
Thank God.
So
Yeah.
much more like, and the way they did it too, where it's just like a hole got busted in it. You know, and it's not like it wasn't clean. They weren't trying to build something there. It was like, oops, maybe. And so like it's such a cool evolution of that space where it's like both destroyed and built like new pieces.
I was surprised at how well I was able to navigate the moon just by the names of the areas
Mhm.
coming back.
All came back to you.
Really? That
Like-
quick?
Yeah, no, just like I was looking at a quest and it's like, that's in Circle of Bones. It's like, I think that's this way. It's like I just had a feeling, and I got there.
There's
Generally,
kind
pretty
of
straightforward.
hallway. Oh yeah, there's the door next to the weird glowing rock.
I got lost immediately.
Well,
It is also very easy to get lost down there. Like,
Yeah.
and there's new spaces where it's like deeper parts of the caves and the entrance to the raid space, which
the
is
Temple
like,
of Crota, all that.
and places that were only like accessible later in the original game.
Mm-hmm.
Dude.
yeah, but the patrol, like, I don't know if it was a different area, but you came in. But when you land now, going into the moon patrol area, there's a little military base set up there, and Eris Morn's up on the top. She's got a little table of weird stuff and all that. But did anybody else? Roderick had to point this out to me one night when we were playing. We were doing one of the content that we'll get to in a minute, but we're at the patrol zone. I go, so check this out. Here, I wonder what this does. He knows exactly what it does. And he hit a button, and it was the tire game. No joke. We sat there for 45
Know what
minutes.
people are doing. So
Like that.
You don't?
How about the rice cake bunnies?
Oh
Have
yeah.
you seen the story? Have you guys started to see the story unfold there?
no, but I
Go
gave
into a
Yeah.
little bit.
and that sucker
There's-
disappeared.
I'm on like I got like the fourth one, but like there's a vault kind of area underneath there that's got a bunny that's half buried. And as you collect more bunnies, they like gather around it. And I just got my 4th bunny, and now the 4 bunnies are there, and they've got the 5th bunny that was buried up on top of them, like they're carrying it. And I can't wait to see what happens with the next bunny and so on.
Wait,
That's awesome.
are there
It's the small things.
6? Is there going to be 6? Are they like
Every bunny's excited.
9.
there are 9 of them?
Yeah.
Well,
I thought it was maybe.
you can
9,
see
1
the-
per character per week.
per week.
I see.
Oh, didn't know
They're
that.
unlocking them
Yeah.
slowly.
You can get them on multiple characters and then cash them in on one character, like get the rice cakes on multiples.
Oh, okay. I see.
But otherwise, it's 1 per week.
How long till the bunnies are on the Bungie store?
I
The
hope
stuffed
soon.
bunnies.
Ooh,
I mean, they should
They're
be
coming. You know they
holidays,
are.
at least.
I kind of feel like they better.
Have to. Yeah.
Hopefully they don't come out like what's
Easter?
his name? No, yeah, Easter. Only at Easter. No, I'm hoping that they come out, but they're not like $150.
Oh no.
Oh,
It'll probably be like
Yeah.
the plush ghost, I bet. Like
Or little blind.
still overpriced at 30.
Yeah.
A little
Those
bit.
Like little plastic ones, I bet, if they do them. Because that would be like, that feels to me like a
A
no-brainer.
Funko one could be cool.
Yeah, like that sort
I
of
wonder if we're
style.
even going to get
Yeah.
any more Funko.
Yeah.
It might have been an acty thing.
Oh.
I don't know. I think the Mega Blocks are done too because they're
Mhm.
like on sale everywhere.
The Big Shot Toy Works, Bungie's not even listed on their website anymore.
Oh,
Really?
I love those things. Those are my favorites.
Mm-hmm. So I don't think those are coming anymore either. I mean, it's sad to see like Activision actually giving good stuff, but
Well,
Well, they might find another like manufacturer.
Yeah, they're coming
Yeah.
with something.
Yeah.
Holidays coming up, so
Because like even the special edition, this is really well made. So they've got to be able to find like different people to make different things, even as like a solo studio. It's gonna make a huge clunk.
Well, I don't know. They came out with those boots. I mean,
Oh, dude! Yeah.
oh gosh.
yeah.
Couple people.
No, if there wasn't the big white patch on the black ones, I don't know.
I don't mind the white patch.
It's just
I wanted them. I couldn't
Yeah.
get them.
They were pretty cool. Yeah, they were a little expensive too.
Yeah.
No, I mean they just sold out immediately.
Because people were
They
scalping
sold
them.
out real
Yeah.
quick.
I had it in my cart and it sold out when I was putting in my info. I was
God.
very unhappy.
Jeez.
that
That's like the
is
Bungie
unfortunate.
pin, the Pride pin.
Oh, I got one.
Like
Oh,
30 seconds after they tweeted, it was sold out.
Yep, I made sure to
Yeah.
jump on that one too.
I was on the metro going to see my dad in the hospital. I'm not gonna bring the stream down. He's totally okay. And I got that email and I was like, oh, I should wait. This is important. I'm going to do an important thing. And I was like, if I have signal down here though, I'm just gonna check. I'm just gonna put it in the cart. Okay, it's working. Okay, it worked. Okay, I bought it. So I was like, I have to grab one of these. So cool.
I ended up grabbing 4 of them to do giveaways for
Nice.
streams and stuff, and I'm gonna start giving those out because I actually did an email. They actually came out with the emblem that you get for that pin for the Pride,
It's really good.
and I only got
Mhm.
one code for all 4 pins.
Yeah.
So
Oh.
I emailed, so I'm trying to get the other 3. That way I can give them away, and it's not going to be like one of those, follow this, do that, do that, do that, do that. Fill out this form. What's your last 4 of your social? No, it's going to be here. You go.
yeah.
Before we get to the social though, I mean that could be useful.
That could be useful.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, you got a point.
I mean, how serious are you about this contest? I mean,
Yeah.
It's not really a contest. It's more of a put your hand up first.
More of an identity theft.
Well, that too. Well,
that's schmeff.
I'll edit that out. We don't want people to know what the real purpose is.
So speaking of codes, who got their raid jacket?
Oh, that's not coming. It got pushed again.
No, I mean like who actually completed the raid?
Oh, my bad.
I got offered a code, but I couldn't accept it.
Yeah, I refused to.
Offered one too.
Mainly because I didn't have the money to get the jacket.
Dude,
I
I
tried.
have a funny story. We were I think this is the night before we actually finished the raid. Had somebody message me to help carry me through, but this was the night before, and Soldier of the Cross I was playing with. He's like, "Yo, Fallout's doing a giveaway. He's got 2 jacket codes he's giving away." I was like, "That's cool." So I logged into his stream, put the giveaway
command in. He called out 3 people. They weren't in chat, so he went on to the next person. That person won. Called out the next person, and I'll be damned if I didn't win it.
Yo!
I was like, are you shitting me right now?
Nice.
So that was before I knew I was going to complete the raid. So I was like super stoked about that. So I went and bought the jacket, and then the next night I completed the raid. I was like, oh shit! Like I just didn't know what to do because I've never done a D2 or a Destiny period. I've never done a Destiny raid the week of launch ever.
Yeah, it's way hard too.
I have
you
yet
got
to
to
do
grind
that yet.
normally. Absolutely.
But yeah, it was. I just like to share that because I don't win stuff like that very often. I should have went and played the lottery
Congrats.
instead,
That's
but I
awesome.
got a raid jacket. So.
I mean, raid jacket's pretty cool.
All of life's karma went to your wife, huh? When you got her.
So the other code went to her. So
We'll actually dive into the raid briefly towards the end when we get to the end game stuff because I really do want to talk about the raid for a little bit because I thought it was really awesome.
Yeah.
But first, what does everybody think about the environment and design of Shadowkeep? I know, Ruby, you said you're really into the survival horror, and the tones of Shadowkeep are just really dark. And the opening mission of Shadowkeep, you go right into infiltrating the Shadowkeep itself on the moon. And it is dark, it's sinister, it's deep, and there is something super special hidden inside that Shadowkeep. Now, what is obviously everybody's played through the campaign or at least explored around, the expansion already. It's been a couple weeks, 3 weeks since it's been released. So I don't think we're spoiling anything at this point, but overall, what do you guys think of the overall design of the environment of Shadowkeep?
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Does anything stick out to you, particular that you really like?
dude, I love the exposure that we had to the darkness stuff. I'm really
like
digging
towards the
all
very
that.
end of the campaign. That stuff.
I can't wait to see more of that. I mean,
super glad that we're finally getting into the darkness and
Yes.
like getting a peek behind the curtain. That's been that ominous thing in the back of Destiny forever.
Yeah.
and how creepy was that last?
That was super.
I was not expecting to see my face.
Me either. That was so weird.
I have my helmet settings off, so I knew that would be coming, and then I saw that everyone else it takes it off. It's that last cutscene.
No, I keep my helmet on my hunter, and I was kind of sad that it took it off.
How you doing,
my
man?
Titan's pretty fugly, so.
Put your helmet back on, Guardian.
Like I pretty much knew
just
he
an
was going to be the
exo,
main villain
and,
because of how ugly I made him.
Now,
Hunter's an exo and doesn't understand the difference between his helmet and his face.
Oh no! Someone made a great comic based off of that once, or I think it was a small cartoon skit. I gotta find that.
I've seen that. I know which one you're talking about.
Oh, the old one with the pixelated sounding 16-bit music. Oh man!
What I really liked was going back like into the tunnels and stuff because you see the Scarlet Keep and it's all red and it's like, okay, that's new. The Hive have never done anything red before.
Yeah,
and then when you go
that
down
part's sick.
like into the underneath everything, there's all their structures and they're not just painted red. It's like red is growing into them.
Yeah.
Something externally is happening.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, it almost seemed like it was being like infected.
Yeah.
Siva-esque, maybe?
Or
Similar, but
even just like so not to jump all the way back to the raid again, but there's elements of that going on in some of the Vex that you see in the raid too. Like there's some corruption, and it's not like the Taken corruption, which is very like space magic-y looking. It's like very organic looking, and it's like, is it Hive or is it some other thing or is it like Proto Hive? It's like it's really cool looking.
The Vex in the raid and just in general in the Black Garden, those are the sole divisive. They've always had the moss and stuff growing on them. Although I do love the retextures of it because like now we have minotaurs with trees on them. That's never been a thing.
That's so sweet.
Yeah.
You mean tree ants?
Yeah.
That's what I said immediately. I was like the ends.
Fuck
Oh my
tree
god.
beard.
But even
I told
with,
Roderick the last boss looks like an ant,
Yes.
and I'm not sure if he liked me for it or not.
No, I mean, it
I call him
does.
tree beard every time we fight him.
Yeah. Like the growth on those Vex,
Mhm.
I'm going to say the wrong Vex.
They're
Soul
called
divisive.
precursors, or what were they?
Soul
No,
divisive.
the
Soul divisive.
the harpy
The
boss,
harpies?
and then the big Minotaur-esque boss. They have like chitin. It almost looks maybe like T pointed out when we were in there the other night. It looks like a hive chitin maybe, but it also doesn't because it has like Vex stuff coming out of it, and it's like all branching. And I was watching a video earlier today of some people just talking about being inside the raid, and I noticed that when the little Vex tendrils are dipping into it, it's like changing colors on them, and there's like all these little details that they've done to show the changes to all the, like the places, and it feels really, really natural, right? Like the red seems like it's growing out of stuff. The Vex seem like, of course, the trees would have gotten bigger because if they always had like some growth on them, it would keep growing over time. It's just such a cool evolution for all of it.
Yeah, for real. And obviously, the one thing that's got to be at the center of all this in this expansion is that pyramid ship that's buried inside the ship. We're 3 weeks in. It's not a spoiler at this point.
Tetra. The evil Tetra.
I'm still
If you're
on
watching
Mars.
live,
Ships.
I'm still on Mars. What
There's
happened?
Vex. Gosh.
I know. I'm that guy. I'm
You
sorry.
can leave the Cosmodrome?
Yeah. The heck?
It's dangerous.
When is
around the-
Destiny 2 coming out anyway?
Yeah. You're talking
Nice.
I don't know. I was playing that strike in the beta with the Vex boss.
Oh yeah, it was the beta for D2. So what we're talking about no, obviously that pyramid ship is affecting all different aspects surrounding it. I mean, the Hive never built anything like they did, like the Shadowkeep, and like Anand said, different parts of it, if you look like on the floors and the walls, they're starting to be like infected with that red. So maybe tying it together, the pyramid ship and that darkness is affecting them somehow, but also going forward with the Harpy and the Raid and the Vex coming in. I'm not really 100% sure. I tried looking for some of the lore. I couldn't find it to see like why the Hive came, or not the Hive, but the Vex came in, and also what is affecting the raid bosses. Like you could see that growth on them. You see like this prism type light coming out of their bodies, but also that chitin that Irez said is growing up it. So it's like forming that Hive-esque like body. But it's obviously affecting in that last cutscene where
There's
the
a
darkness,
cutscene.
there's a big one, and it's really messed up. You guys are so trolly tonight. I'm telling you what. It's either I'm an easy target all the time or just some of the time. No.
We love you.
Yes, we just love you, Joe.
Doesn't help that you're outnumbered.
By a lot too, right?
I'm outnumbered every night at game too. No, but that's great. Does anybody else have anything that stuck out to them as far as like the environment?
So first mission.
Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just gonna say the first mission, the scale of it, like actually invading the moon instead of just like, oh, we're here to save the day kind of thing, and like fighting everything. I like that there was other guardians there.
Yes.
You were kind of like blasting
that
through
too.
it, and, like storming the keep rather than just like, oh, it's me and I take on the world.
Yeah, but it wasn't just that. It was the landing point where you came in. It was that PvP map. It was First Light.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And all
That's what I mean. Did you see there was like NPC guardians like on top of the building shooting rockets and stuff? I thought that was awesome.
Yeah, we got frames in there finally
Frames, yeah.
fighting with us.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually,
Red Jacks are no longer just spooked. They're on the ground and they're fighting with us.
Can we talk about how funny it is that they said, "Oh yeah, the Vanguard was watching us, but they had other stuff to worry about." Like, at what point did they say, "Okay, now their tower's done. Now we can go"? Like, I just found it like the timing very strange. Like, yeah,
I think the Vanguard's like any political
third
system.
or fourth floor, you're like,
This looks like it's turning into something.
No, they're not done yet. Let them finish.
Yeah.
Wait until they're about to put the light on the top.
Let's not be rude about this, okay?
Listen, there's a lot of red tape, and Ikora has to sign off, and then Zavala.
That's it.
Actually, the Hive bought all the red tape to put.
You need all 3 signatures, and Cade's missing.
Garlic tape.
They gotta get that 3rd signature. It's gonna take a while.
They really put a lot of effort into making the areas. Like if you think about the moon, they expanded on it, and like you're talking about the opening scene, everything feels very broad and massive. Not to mention, like the raid too. If you go in there, it's massive. Like even some of the encounter is like you have a lot of space to traverse.
Skybox is super open too.
Yeah, everything feels very broad, and also like the Shadowkeep strike. If you just go into that strike itself, like granted, there's a lot of mobs in there, but the actual keep is so huge, it doesn't feel like they have enough mobs to fill it up.
When I was playing that, I didn't think we were actually going to get to the tower and like start going up it. I was like, oh, we'll do like the whole strike all the way to like the base of the tower, or something. So I was really impressed when it was like we're like climbing this thing.
Well, there's one point before you go up the elevator part when you're on the last section right before you head to the elevator. Like you go across it and you take a left up the stairs. There's a whole section of the tower that you just traversed on this side. On the other side, that you never even touched. It's just there because of symmetry, I guess. But it's like, this is massive, but there's no point to this over here because there's no mobs over here.
Well, doesn't the dungeon release tomorrow also? Isn't that
That's
the
Friday? Next week.
I think it's next week.
Like the 29th.
So we got the bow. The bow is tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I imagine there's other parts of it that like something I always thought was really cool. If y'all remember in D1, like the part of the Cosmodrome was the Jovian research like center, and you could sort of go into it. And then later, as they did expansions, stuff grabbed those parts of the map and became new parts of the zone that you could traverse or were part of a mission or were like the beginning of a strike. And they use those really well, I feel like. And they've like kind of done that same thing here where it was like sort of forecasting what we were going to interact with overall. And then it like opens up, but they're doing it sort of like week by week even now, which is like so cool because I think like going back to what we're talking about with the lore, it's like some of it is still opening up because like Anon was saying, it's a certain number like per character per week. So even if you're, grinding all 3 characters, we still haven't unlocked every single lore entry. But then there's also like story beats that are unlocking, like in the tower with Ikora behind her. There's building that huge Vex thing, and that's supposedly going to be part of the next season. And this is like exactly what Luke Smith said they were trying to do with the story, where it's like each week there's going to be another beat that tells us more about what's happening in the world. It's like just sort of unfolding. It's super amazing.
Well, yeah, that, and he also said too, it's unfolding, but it's also they wanted to go forward with Shadowkeep being that first step with it. The world constantly evolving to make it feel like it was a live environment, like a live world. And
I really love the like slow evolution that they've started doing since Forsaken.
Yeah,
with that the world evolving and yeah, it's really cool and really helps keep you in the game.
Mm-hmm. But one thing, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, somebody said in the chat, and I think it's on the first thing that comes to my mind. With the first thing that you notice really is that Vex gate being built in the tower or whatever it is, like a portal behind Ikora. And if you've never looked, I mean, I got trolled the other day. I think we were playing with somebody that was like, dude, that's always been there. Like, where? And I'm like, no, it hasn't. Like, Joe, it seriously has been. It's like, no, that scaffold is never there. Like, they had me believing for like a hot minute that I was losing my mind.
You're like, how long was I out?
I am a super gullible person. And then with the medicine and everything, I'm even worse now. But that won't be forever. But Anon, you were going to say something about the oh man, what are the robots? What are they called?
Frames.
The frames. With that opening mission. Yeah.
Oh yeah. The opening mission though, I was gonna say that was actually one of my favorite environment things because I went into D1 with some friends and we went to First Light because we knew it was coming back. And I looked straight across the skybox to the left and I was like, that's Anchor of Light. And they're like, no, it's not. That doesn't make any sense. And I'm like, that's Anchor of Light. I'm telling you that's Anchor of Light. And it absolutely is. So I was just like, talking about it just here just made me realize that I need to go tell them that I was right.
Remember what we were talking about when you went into PvP on D1? I was right.
You got the red string and the map and you're like, see?
Yeah. Pepe Sylvia.
No, but it's great that they actually tied it in to that and they didn't change it at all. Like you could go into the D1, PvP map and the layout is the exact same. But when you get past that I think it's like spawn B or whatever, that's where all the interactions happening and the canyons open and you can go through. And that's where it opens up to this vast battlefield of, the Shadowkeep. Or the Crimson Keep, and that area is absolutely massive too. So you have the patrol zone of the moon, and then that's like an extra area off it, and it goes off map. It kind of reminds me of what they did on Mars with how you could go so deep off map looking for the nodes and everything like that, and. Rasputin, like when you went to go visit Rasputin, you were way off the beaten path.
Yeah.
So I really like how, the exploration is so open. I mean, you can go places where you're like, nah, I'm not going to traverse all the way back over there. I'm going to orbit and then just hitting the fast travel.
Yeah, when you're starting, you're like too low level to even go into some of those places. Like even some of just like the caves, not just like the lost sectors or the mission areas. Which you can pretty much always get to. And like if you're standing at that little encampment where Eris is and the portal pops back open, you can just like hop through it. But there's the enemies have the red icon and it's like, nope, you're done. You just got one shot, come around a corner, can't go back in there. Like it's really cool that they set it up like so intricately like that this time.
My friends and I did a lost sector like the moment we could just for fun.
Fail.
We did it. We managed it. Yeah. I pulled out some Polaris Lance and slowly whittled them down. But it was fun.
Has everybody found
leveling like that?
The Lost Nightmares too, like the ones that are near the Lost Sectors, tucked away in the caves.
Yeah. Oh, like Crota under the stairs or whatever that dominates you as soon as you look at them.
I think there's 3 main ones. I found 2 of them.
They rotate each week. I think there's more than 3, but I mean it's only the 3rd week.
I found a Skolas one in the cave behind. I think it was Skolas in the cave behind.
Was it the Fear of Mithrax?
Yeah, that's it.
Yes,
that's the one you're talking about.
That's Mithrax.
That's the first one I found.
He was Fear of Mithrax.
Yep.
And it is, oh man, just the implication that we would even have so basically I guess in at least depending on your choice, like Mithrax is alive, so like that there is a nightmare of him.
It's a fear. It's the fear of Mithrax. It's not Mithrax himself.
It's so interesting that the darkness can even pull. I mean, because we know, or does that mean that Mithrax has been to the moon? Because did the darkness get a copy of him?
Well, I mean, he probably was at the moon at some point because he's trying to recruit for the House of Light. So, I mean, he's going wherever there's Fallen, and if there's a large group of Fallen on the moon, maybe they decide to jump over.
But isn't the darkness pulling from your psyche?
Probably. I mean,
yeah,
more so than I don't know where I was reading that, but like it's like it without you, it really doesn't have anything to
feed.
Yeah, to work off of.
I mean, I'm sure it could without you. I'm sure it can make whatever it wants, but it's making things, like as Era says, it's making things to distract you, to torment you, to kind of pull you off the path of getting to them, type of deal.
Yeah, I also feel like there's, and this is very lore crafty. Like we don't have to rabbit hole if we don't need to. But like, I feel like that the pyramid ship, when it tricks our ghost, tricks us, sucks us into the pyramid ship. I feel like the very sci-fi part of that is it's copying us, and it's tricking anyone that it can to get within range, so it can basically have information on like replicating us. And maybe that's not as. Maybe there's other cool implications in there, but my sci-fi brain went like right to this is how they're trying to get us, like
at the same sense too. It also doesn't just affect us; it affects the ghosts too. Because one of the creepiest things, besides the patrols when you're running by them, freaked me out during this expansion was how during the campaign your ghost reacted by getting within proximity of that pyramid ship.
Yeah.
Get all staticky, all crazy it's not in his head, but figuratively, just how it was affected overall, because it's made of light, like it's powered by light. So how the darkness really got in and messed with it was kind of interesting. But towards the end, it said, we're not good, we're not bad, we're the solution, which is like, ooh.
Dun, dun, dun.
It gave me chills.
That is what like the baddies. That's what they would say, though.
Yeah, they don't think they're bad guys.
Well, yeah. I mean, the darkness isn't evil. It's just doing what it feels it needs to do. And I mean, tomorrow we're gonna get the
Master Nightmares.
What's tomorrow? The
Leviathan.
The first knife, I think.
Never mind.
The first knife?
Yeah, I think that's tomorrow. I can look it up.
Did they do a roadmap again? They should have done a roadmap again.
No, I mean for the lore book unveiling.
I don't know. I know tomorrow for Reset they're releasing Leviathan's breast. Wow. Breath. I'm not cutting that. Leviathan's breath, exotic bow, and master nightmare hunts.
Yeah, tomorrow's the final shape. So I mean, we're gonna see more into the philosophy of the darkness.
Oh, that'll be.
Yep, and then the next week is the dungeon, which that should be pretty intense.
I cannot wait for that.
Yeah, that's gonna be a blast.
But also, they're doing new PvP, a new variation of control.
Momentum control.
Janet Jackson control.
Some background music, just the beat. Never know, could happen. But no, let's move on to the character development and design in Shadowkeep. One of the main things actually Tyler brought out when we were talking about, just kind of like how we're going to progress or what we're going to talk about or touch on. One of the things he brought up was that moon set that you get on the moon for each character or, each race of guardian. I really dug how they made it kind of like quest based and how you can re-roll it with the cryptograph and everything and get missions for it. What does everybody think of how the new armor sets and ornaments and how everything's reacting with your characters now?
It's cool.
I think they did a great job of adapting the things we liked from Forges and whatnot throughout the past few seasons into this. Kind of get us the way to go for the weapons we want. Go for, if we like the armor set, try and get different rolls on that, and just be able to actually pick what you're going for and go get it.
The transmogging, the changing to the look to whatever past
the
armor
ornament
set.
Wow.
Yes, gosh,
They need to
let's
get
get
everything just into ornaments, so that I can just get armor that has good rules and make it look the way I want.
Yeah, my main thing with the weapons is the moon weapons I actually enjoy because they keep you in the game world, right? So the quest for them take place in the social space, in the place that you're going to be running across people.
That was cool.
Keeps you engaged in the game. The Vex offensive ones, I don't like as much. The games themselves are fine, but being forced into one small activity where you're isolated from everything. Now, the offensive itself is fun. 6 people running around doing things, that's fine. But I really like the moon stuff because, I got to go kill all these things over here and all this stuff, but you're still playing, you're still part of that same common world space instead of being instanced off.
Yeah, now that you're saying that, that just makes me think that I think I've probably done twice as many moon weapons as Vex offensive weapons. Just because, it's an extra place to go. You got to jump back to the tower, and then you got to go do other stuff someplace else, whereas the moon's all kind of self-contained there.
Everything with the moon, I think, is pretty cool, except the kindergarten popsicle stick face mask warlock helmet. I don't know what that is, but other than that, everything else looks really cool.
I think they went for a voodoo aesthetic, and it didn't grab most people.
That made me start Shadowkeep on my hunter. That single aesthetic.
Now, do y'all want to dive into the whole transmog system? Because that's kind of controversial at times.
Oh, I mean,
I think we could just touch on it, just, not pros and cons or, dwell, but just touch on it, what it does.
I immediately bought the Eververse set for my hunter.
Did you?
Same.
I bought it for my Titan, man.
Oh,
those arms looked amazing.
The Titan one is like mind-blowing to me. That's the best one I've seen for a Titan.
Called Empyrean Cartographer?
Yeah, that's it. Empyrean, yeah.
Constellations. And the Titan one is Leo, and it's a lion. The Hunter one is Orion. Orion is the Hunter. And I wish I knew what the Warlock one was supposed to
I wish I knew. I don't play Warlock, so I don't have any idea.
And I was ornamenting up my Warlock the other night, too, while we were doing Banner. And it's just, I like that it can at least be mixed and matched. And I was talking about this last night. The shader thing is also way cooler than D1. You can mix and match that too, because you can really find a lot of stuff that brings out the design. And it's also just, it scratches that itch that I know probably all of us have of being able to decorate, and pick sort of our own aesthetic and shape that.
You still need a shade all.
There's a couple of things.
Man, when you're trying to do the whole set.
The shaders, the right set till Roderick gives me my gauntlets back.
The shaders still feel like they're not quite there. For instance, there's no reason for you to have them on your character. You have them in collectibles now, right? Which means you can pull them anytime you want. It seems like a waste of time for me to pull them to my character to then apply them. Whereas you get rid of them from your character, you're not carrying anymore. Anytime you want to apply a shader that you've unlocked, you just pay for it right there, right? So when I go to my equipment, what I should be able to do is, I highlight and find all of the shaders I've ever found, apply shader, done.
Yeah.
It seems like a weird stopgap measure that I don't.
It's a weird extra step that it doesn't need.
Yeah.
But it's the same. I mean, it's the same thing.
I love that idea. If it just costs glimmer.
With the for the enhancement cores, the fact that you have to use an item to get a drop for an enhancement core, when you could just get them to randomly drop, but very sparingly.
Right.
I don't see the point of using the item when you use the item, it's not like it is gonna. It literally drops within the next I don't know.
It's the next yellow bar you kill.
It's just right there. I mean, it's just kind of one extra step for me to do that.
They have a lot of consumables that they don't need, in my opinion. Yeah. The ornament structure, though, it feels like they're still not quite there yet either. Some things are ornaments, some things are not. It just kind of drives me nuts, especially since these systems have been in place for more than a decade with a whole bunch of other games.
Yeah.
It's not new technology, and it's obviously extremely popular, and you can make plenty of money off of it. A lot of games do that stuff. I'm not a big microtransaction guy, but every piece of armor that I pick up should go into my thing. If you want to actually add to the grind, say that I got to pick up 20 of them before it unlocks. as an
Yeah,
ornament
that's
or
a good
something
point.
like that.
Yeah.
You know, like make me earn the pieces of the shelter in place set or something. And now I've earn it, but still, it seems silly to me that we have all this legendary armor, and my inventory is still something I fight nonstop trying to figure out which armors to hold on to, which ones not to. It's frustrating.
Yeah, it was a little disappointing because I think if you've played for any amount of time when D2, you've gotten a lot of complete sets of armor.
Yep.
And I was, especially with right now what's going on with Bungie with the fashion show or the fashion week, I was really digging through my vault, which I just literally like a month ago went and deleted the majority of it because of this ornament system.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought a lot of these, like I deleted, I did save a few of them, but all of my trials gear.
Sure.
I had a lot of different sets. Dude, I look at it now, none of my trials gear is there. It's like, are you kidding me? That wasn't an ornament. That was,
and that was even
trials of your patience.
Yeah,
I held on to everything that I couldn't go back out in the world and get.
Yeah.
The faction armors, trials stuff, anything that I couldn't actively go out and get, I did not get rid of.
See, I'm still holding on to the faction guns because I'm hoping,
I have those too.
that there's something broken with one of those guns that's going to end up being like, this gun is just destroying the game right now. It's like, I got one.
I kept one of every element because they dropped with random elements at the time. So I've got like a 657 of like Void, Solar, and Arc all in my vault, taking up a shit ton of space.
I got 500 spaces. Let's make use of it.
Make it count.
I did that with Uriel's. I'm not going to lie.
I did too.
Back in the day.
Well, Uriel's was the number one gun, at the beginning of
straight to
D1,
Arc.
D2. Oh yeah, dude, it was awesome. It was the number one gun. But
pretty good again.
My thing with the moon, I really like what they did for the design for the moon weapons.
Oh yeah,
I love how they dressed it up with the feathers and
I dig the voodoo aesthetic.
It really worked with the weaponry.
The armor, I'm not a fan of.
Change colors when you get close to the nightmare. The medallions will light up.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's a cool thing if you're watching. If you get close to those.
What would have been neat is if and like the moon sets, I know some people were not thrilled with. I'm not gonna exactly throw on my space astronaut. Astronaut
right
anytime soon or whatever. But maybe like finding kind of like ornaments, but basically aesthetically changing the gear that you're equipped with or something like that. Adding hive tassels or ornaments or feathers. Or
that would be a cool option.
Totally down for that.
Tweaking the set that you want, and you can moonify whatever gear you want, that sort of thing.
Has anybody noticed the little things that you're doing for Eris every week, that she's collecting them on her little table?
Yes, yeah.
And
no, I didn't notice that.
Behind her,
the little things.
Like there was
the cutscene I just watched with her was actually pretty hilarious as well.
Really?
I
haven't done this.
I don't want to spoil it, but it was like, what the? Okay, all right, lady.
I mean, make sure you do those every week so you don't fall behind.
Yeah.
I don't want to fall behind.
There's only 2 more weeks, so I guess you're not really falling behind very far anyway.
How long was the 9? The one for the 9 in Drifter?
9.
It's 9 parts, right? Of course. Yeah, and because that was, I remember redoing that, or not redoing that, but doing that during Triumph on my other characters, because it was just, I would go through enough to do the thing and it'd come back up. And
I still haven't finished all of those.
Does anybody know about the dead ghosts? How, like, right now I've completed all of them, but I keep getting the consumables.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
deal with that.
I have one more to do, but I have like so many of those little shards.
The ghost trace or whatever.
You're gonna keep getting them. It's just
an
like
emblem in the collections that's supposedly for getting them all, but no one's got yet.
Well, because there's a 10th that is not available yet. The current theory is that it's in the dungeon.
It's yours. Dun dun dun.
Well, it's Omar's.
Dredging yours.
Okay.
Oh, Omar. Yeah, Omar.
I think it's Omar's. Because I keep getting it confused with Vel's, and I don't think it's Vel's. But
like
you're gonna keep getting rice cakes and ghost traces, because it's just like the small gifts in the Dreaming City. You can get all the cats, you're gonna still get them. You can get all the
Yeah,
Corsairs.
I
You can
got
still get them.
That's a good point.
I really miss how it was in D1. I enjoyed searching for those things.
Mhm, that was fun. Pull up that YouTube video and hop from coast.
They were in obscure places.
Did anybody do the Risk Runner mission?
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Still didn't.
So
So bad at this. So bad.
running around the Cosmodrome, like if everybody remembers, there's like a signpost that after you come out of the tunnel with the beautiful fan, and you go through, there's like a street sign and a highway sign. And on the back side of that sign, there was a ghost with a 4-leaf clover underneath it. And the ghost isn't there, but the 4-leaf clover is still there.
What?
You can see places where they were in D1 in the updated map.
Oh,
That's cool.
It's really cool.
Neat detail.
There's a tower one was in not far, like in that same little area, like the top of a bird's nest tower thing.
Oh,
I wonder if they left anything there too.
Oh, I should go check that. I tried to go I went to the border, like the boundary of the map all the way around, because I was like, where else can I get to? Like, what other parts of the map can I sneak into and check out?
They should just have one guy that all his job is to do is to go into each zone and hide little Easter eggs that take people time to find. That would be so fun.
All you'd have to do is put them all in the farm and no one would ever find them.
In Forsaken, we got the memory fragments. We had dead ghosts, Ahamkara bones, the crow drones, and then we got.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
I don't think we got any collectibles in Season of the Forge, but in Season of the Drifter, we got the 9 egg talisman things, and Season of Opulence, we got the chalices. There's collectibles every season.
Raid.
This season, we got the cryptoglyphs to go find. There's more dead ghosts to go find.
Yeah.
No, we're definitely not complaining because it's nice.
Oh, yeah, no, for sure.
Something extra to do. I love it.
Yeah.
And the dead ghosts having audio stories too now.
Yeah.
That was nice.
That's awesome.
Cool.
It was I had.
You get so annoyed at the Dreg nearby is trying to shoot you while you're listening. Shut up, Simon! Stop talking.
I want to hear this. It's important.
Yeah, I had other audio on, and I was like, "What is this? Oh no!" And I cranked down the other thing I was listening to, and suddenly I was like, "Okay, I have to find." It made me want to go find the rest of them right away, and go find more of the consumables to get the quest. It's such a good progression of those same kinds of activities.
Well, that's a good segue right there. What does everybody think about the story progression and the way the content's progressing through the season so far?
Positive and negative.
Right, along with everything.
Yeah, I mean, the campaign felt a little short. I dig that they're continuing it over, and they're actually evolving it over. I love that. I like where they're going already. I like that they have a long-term plan, and it's going to keep evolving. It just felt like this campaign was a little short. It had some good moments, obviously. And I want to see, I still want to see more of the Guardians we know fighting in those battles. As cool as it was to see the frames, as nice as it was to see them actually get together and do stuff like that, sue me. I want to see Shaq show up and be like, "You don't know how to fight. This is ridiculous. It's taking forever," and just have him plow through people.
Clear as yeah. That would be cool because having the vibe of Cade and the Forsaken missions, and even Zavala in that first D1 story mission, D2 story mission, where he pops his bubble, and he can even die if you stay there long enough. And
he does.
Resin, but just a little bit more of that. Ikora tosses a Nova Bomb in that scene too, right when you get to over by where the speaker was, and
but overall, it was good. Don't get me wrong. I still I like the fact that I'm not a big lore guy. I really appreciate it. I just don't seek it out on my own. So I like that I'm learning a ton of stuff as we go. I like that the narrative itself is carrying with it a whole bunch of history and stuff with it.
I want a horde mode of Vex to where you have to fight off just mountains of Vex right beside Saint 14.
Yeah,
that would be the coolest thing.
I always thought that would be like the coolest thing in the Infinite Forest is like a horde mode.
Oh gosh.
Well, it's like the perfect place for it.
Or
Yeah.
you find Saint 14 and he's still fighting Vex after all this time.
Especially, it would make sense too because there's multiple timelines in there, so you should be able to travel to one.
Mm-hmm.
That would be so cool.
And the Black Garden is basically like not in one place. You know, it's like, so the Infinite Forest is kind of in one place. It's on Mercury. It is Mercury, but like the Black Garden is not really in. We don't even know if it's not in our solar system. We have no idea where it is.
From space time.
Yeah, but you can see it has like, it is not our sun in the skybox, and it is not like.
Isn't Black Garden Venus from Destiny 1?
So technically, no, it's not. It's not the moon, and you could get to it from Mars underneath the. I guess that's Clovis Bray on Mars. Other Clovis facility.
Clovis Bray.
Yeah.
Underneath that, you could also get to the Black Garden.
In the original campaign of Destiny 1, we go to the Black Garden, and it's currently not in any physical place in space or time because the Vex kind of like ripped it out of reality, and they just put it in its own little pocket.
Rude.
And then when we destroy the Black Heart, it gets tethered back into reality, which is underneath Mars in the it's basically going right through the train system, which is how the Taken get in. They just blow the wall down and get into the Black Garden. But now with the darkness giving the Soul Divisive power again, I would assume it's been untethered again, and it's somewhere that is not on Mars.
Mm-hmm.
But also, there's more than one Black Garden, and in general, there's multiple of them.
Yeah, like the first part of the raid area, the first encounter is very reminiscent of. It's not the same because it's like it's balanced a little bit differently. There were these ledges that had cover. If y'all remember doing that last mission on like the heroic mode and stuff, there's the same statues, the same kind of statues with those Vex that are like holding their hands up, you know.
The Soul Progeny.
Yeah, and then they're the ones that come to life in the Black Garden mission.
Yeah.
D1. And like that's it's very interesting that this campaign I feel like does end like very. I think you're totally right. It does end very abruptly. It feels short, and it's almost like they need you to go into the raid to see more of it, to see what's. But it's not even like that doesn't finish anything. It just sort of goes, and then the next step will be, and it like as you go through the raid, you're hearing and experiencing more of this shows you what the next step will be, which I don't know, maybe we're going to be in store for sort of always a little bit climatic, sort of pause because we're going to have to work through the next season and the next, I guess they're not expansions. They're just seasons now.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we'll see like more of the story unfold. And I wonder like if there will be a big culmination feeling part of it, or if it will tie up things, because I do want to see Saint 14, and I want to know why the heck Osiris has nothing to say about
any of
the
this.
fact that we're fighting
the Vex.
Many Vex.
Yeah,
they're pouring onto the moon.
Sure.
But maybe he shows back up next week, and we don't know yet. He might like pop in and be like, "I see you're building a crazy gate. Let's talk about this."
Are you out of your mind?
Vex specialist to Vex specialist. And Asher Mir too. Like, that guy's got to have something to say about like what the heck we're doing. It's like
I think we pushed him down a well somewhere.
No, Asher.
There's no well. There's just a
Yeah.
lake.
It's a lake.
Oh, I see. No, they pushed him down that well.
Well, that's a good point there
It's on
with
fire
the
team.
season. When I watched that final cutscene, I spent like another hour looking to see where the next quest was to progress the story. It stopped it felt really abrupt. They did say it's not going to be a big, Forsaken, DLC. It's an expansion, more like Rise of Iron size from like D1. But how it stopped, it was like, well, wait, you need to explain this, and this, and I'm going all over the internet waiting for Anon to do a podcast or post something about it, or looking for Bife to do something. And I know some stuff's trickling out now, but it does feel like that they are slowly gonna progress it through the season.
Yeah,
but you got to find the story.
Well, I don't even
it was quite the big climax, and then they kind of left you grasping for the threads after.
Right.
I don't think that you'll have to find the story. I think it's just being intentionally kind of drawn out over the season. Like, we go into the pyramid, we get the artifact. The artifact immediately starts communicating to the Black Garden, so we have to go to the Black Garden and fight the Sanctified Mind. And it's progressing that story in a direct way. It's just not progressing it in a campaign way. And then every week now we're getting more information from the artifact where Eris is saying, you really shouldn't be listening to this. It's just trying to convince us of whatever it's trying to convince us of. And, we're learning that, like, at one point in time, the darkness and the traveler were the two existing entities, that only existing entities, supposedly.
Yeah.
And, so while that's unfolding for another 7 weeks, then we're gonna Ikora in the background. Ikora is building the Vex Gate to murder the Undying Mind, and you can only imagine, like, how is that gonna, if every season feeds into the next season, the thing to feed in is this gate. This thing that is being built up is the gate. So the gate is probably going to be the focal point of the beginning of the next season. It probably won't be the full of Season of Dawn, but it will probably be what kicks off whatever happens.
Yeah, the opening of it.
Yeah. Well, when are we going to fight the Undying Mind? Because the Undying title,
November 11th,
19th.
Okay.
19th.
Yeah,
Okay,
11,
so
19.
that does release this season, then, right?
Yeah.
Yep. That's
Okay.
the last piece of content that drops. 11/19 is the Vex Offensive Final Assault.
Yeah,
Okay.
and then you have to kill him 3 times in a non-match made activity to get the Undying title, and you have, I think, 2 weeks to do it.
Nice.
Ugh.
I think I want to
So
try to
get everything
Jeremy
else done
squared.
before that. If you're going for that title.
Yep.
I'm looking at these two right here to carry me through that.
I'm on PlayStation, so sorry.
No, squared and res.
I'm just kidding.
Don't
Sure,
make
I'll
me
try.
buy it on PlayStation again.
I have it on
volunteered to
PC.
do
I
it.
could jump on and
You
do it
have
on
it on
PC.
PlayStation if you have it on
Oh.
PC.
I have it on both, so I could.
Well, that's
switch
what I mean.
over.
The seasons are cross-platform.
True. I just got to buy the copy.
New Light.
I think you still have to buy
No.
If you have access to the season content, just not the Shadowkeep content.
Need the expansion, yeah.
Oh.
Sort of
That's what I'm
speaking
saying. You have it on console right now.
The,
It's not that hard to jump around. It's like until you actually start doing Shadowkeep specific stuff. It's
Unless you have no idea, which I went in with a Newberry last week.
A Newberry.
Yeah. So what I think they said it on DCP, so I just adopted it. It sounds great. It's like Blueberry, but Newberry. My buddy who started playing had no idea what to do. He didn't even know he could open the menu and like change his grenades and everything. And the game really doesn't telegraph that anymore. Like
Not at all.
Yeah.
And so, like, I think for some new players, unless they had a guide, the story progress might even be like wild, unless you just jump in with like the top level content right away. I'm not really sure. I don't know exactly what they want new players to experience, and I'll never know because I've been playing this game for so long. But it is interesting that they're sort of saying, well, you know what, actually, the best story is the stuff we just put out, so just go ahead and get right to that. Like just let's get to that, and then let's go forward. Let's do new
One of my
things
best
together.
friends finally got the game, and all he got was New Light to start because he wants to try it out before he commits, right?
Yeah.
It took me an inordinate amount of time to try and figure out how he's supposed to play the campaigns.
Yeah.
It took me even Google like failed me over and over again trying to figure out how to start the campaign. And his lack of a observation skills. He did not see the gigantic thing on the map and all the,
the blinking, the hold this button to hold the side menu out.
It was they did not do a good job of setting that up. But I guess that wasn't their focus. But that it is what it is, And
it might get better over time. But I mean, a lot of people have experienced it. I think, judging by the number of new people I've seen in like the Crucible and even in Iron Banner recently, like I feel like that people got over that hurdle. People must have, like, because the same as if y'all remember like what D1 was like when it first released, like we got over a lot of weird stuff in the early days too, because it was just so enticing to see like
still a fun game.
Yeah, see the way the story unfolded, even as wild and erratic as it was in D1. It's really enticing. Like it pulls you in. It's like, I will learn this menu. I will find what these little pips on this map do. Like it takes me all night. So people must have gotten all the way into it.
That's the real end game.
Yeah.
Right back, gentlemen.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, no. Speaking of that, part of the end game for me, I didn't focus on the armor stuff and the little tidbits of everything yet. Dude. There's the mods, the intel strength, all the armor facets, like what I want for good builds, strong builds, broken builds. There's no way I can personally wrap my head around that stuff and
it's a lot.
Game, like enjoy the game with friends at the same time, because I will have you guys sitting there for an hour and a half while I'm trying to put something together and it'll be broken. But I do like part of the end game, just going into that before the raid and talking about just the gameplay of everything together, the how you can upgrade stuff now. Part of that with having the ornaments, having your armor look close to what you want it to with the available ornaments of the past armor sets is the upgrade material. Instead of doing just the master cores, now you have to buy these little boxes, which essentially they took the trouble of each. Previously, before Shadowkeep, when you wanted to upgrade something, you needed master cores or enhancement cores, planetary material, glimmer, a nail file, toothpick, gum wrapper off the floor of the tower. Like you needed all sorts of things, each individual armor for wherever it came from. Spin foil, aluminum foil, whatever.
Oh, what were the? Remember there were class ones
Vandal
too.
The Vandals left
There
toe.
was there was plasteel plating, and there was sapphire wire, and whatever Warlocks got.
That was totally Taking King, wasn't it? That was in like House of Wolves.
Those were the like. Oh, they might have been added later.
That was Origin. That was D1.
Was it?
They got rid of it.
Yeah, it was D1.
Did they? They got rid of it. Okay, because you could still get it from some dismantles, but like it didn't do anything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because now what they did was they took all three and they just made them armor materials. Like you can see all three stacked on top of each other.
Yeah.
Which I like this now. You can just go to Banshee. It makes him more viable now as well as an NPC in the tower, that you have to go to him and just buy the core. Just buy the box. You see all the materials that are available to do it. It makes Spider viable as well too as a vendor, because he'll be selling those specific materials every week or every rotating. But I like how you could just have that and boom, there, you're upgraded. No more, needing this, needing that. If you got one of those cores now to upgrade, you're good to go, which I really like that.
And supposedly the exchange rate on the Ascending Shards and the needle things, the yellow. Supposedly, like, we shouldn't, if you're being economical, don't burn a bunch of your stuff on those. Grind until you get to the things that drop that. But it is like, I love that it has been condensed down so that you don't have to think about it as much, and you don't have to be like, oh, well, I had everything else for all these other things I was upgrading, and now I get to this helmet, and the helmet required like data lettuce, and I'm like, oh, I didn't have any data lettuce. But like if I going into the raid, going into Banner, I grabbed a bunch of those cores just to be ready. So like I know I'm going to get stuff that I'm going to want to cycle through, and I didn't have to think like, do I have 16 kinds of things? Like I got to think of that like 3 weeks ago at launch or 2 weeks ago at launch, whatever, and just pull stuff when I was ready.
Yeah, I think that was a great move on their part going forward with this expansion. You know, it really allows people to just upgrade what they want and not have to run all over the place to do it. I mean, just like you said, going into Banner, I mean, I got like 15 levels from Banner, but for upgrading like the armor I wanted to keep that
or the guns
looked like good stats or guns, it was, I got 8 of these cores I bought, and it's like boom, 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 done.
Yeah, just
done.
Ready.
It's great. But going forward, the raid. Let's talk about the raid a little bit. Now, a couple of us here all went into the raid together, like several nights in a row. Didn't beat it, but we got to experience it. I do have to say, with this raid, it was one of the most fun experiences for a D2 raid I have had, because the encounters, the mechanics were fun to do as a group. And I really enjoy the first one, and I love how somebody broke this down on Twitter last night, I think, and it's broke down to like the encounters are like the first one's tether, then you play baseball, then you play this, and then it's like Simon says, and then the final encounter is all of them put together, and then some. But the encounters are so cool because the first one, as soon as you come in, you walk through that big gate that you see in the cinematic of the Vex invasion coming, because the gate opens to the Black Garden. We go in, and the environment there, the skybox, it's just massive. But when you walk in, the first thing you see through that gate is this Hydra infected boss eating a Minotaur. And that is just a wicked cool visual to see walking into the raid, because you don't really see that anywhere else.
It's unique. It's so unique.
Yeah. And just how you progress through the raid itself, through the encounter, I thought was great, because it of course, with the raids and anything involving, you know, teamwork, it involved a lot of communication and teamwork, but it wasn't so much so that you couldn't have fun while you were doing it too. I mean, and it wasn't that punishing to the point where it was just like, oh, you know what? I'm going to orbit, pull me, you know. You know, we can get to this point. I'm not doing it anymore. I think just, I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts?
I enjoyed it. We had fun. We went in there. The first encounter, we 5-manned, and we didn't really do it like after I went back and watched the way it should have been done, or at least the most effective way, I guess you could say, according to the guide. We sort of did it as a tag along situation. It's meant to do that, but it was different the way we did it. And I honestly, looking back, I don't even know how we did it the way we did, but it was that moment that it was fun to me, because it was like you're being innovative with each other, and nobody really kind of knows what's happening. And then the others, of course, we had to look up strategies and whatnot, but it was really, it's been really fun and really challenging, really challenging in some places.
Yeah, absolutely. What did you think after the first encounter when you were going to the end, the last gate that you opened, the last Vex door, where all these Cyclops eyes were up on that
Oh my god,
dude! At first, when we got up there, I started trying to shoot everything.
Yeah, I did.
But I thought it was so cool how it was just like, you know what, that Hydra thing, that harpy is going to throw up. Somebody has to get it, and then it just turned into, as soon as everybody got up there, it's run, don't stop, get through it all, don't stop for anything, and then you'd see people just dying. It's like, I got to res them. Nope, can't do it.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Well, that's what I was talking about earlier, is how the raid encounter is so traversive. That whole encounter, from the very beginning you walk in, throughout the whole path you take, is actually a bit of ground to cover. I mean, but you're doing it so slowly, but till that last part, it's just like, oh my god, we've moved through so much through this encounter, just this one encounter. It feels very flowy, and I like that. I thought it was very very well thought out and great design. And I don't know. I really didn't have the words.
It was different over the past raids because there was always the lulls in the encounters where you would run, like go to King's Fall. You would run in, there'd be a couple ads, run, jump, do a puzzle, run, get going. Oh, encounter. And you got a boss fight. And then it was that lull. But with this one, you didn't have that lull really. I mean, you did have a jumping puzzle here, but the way you just explained it is how you traverse through the segments and everything of the encounter. It had you moving. You weren't stationary for all but the final boss encounter, and even then you weren't even stationary.
You're not stationary at all, really. You can't be.
You're constantly moving.
You're gonna be dead if you are.
Dead.
And there's like
I'll be back again.
portals. You know, it's not even you're traversing large long distances in the boss encounter, but even more so because you're warping out to like the islands that you can see off in the distance and fighting out there, because you can still, like, when you're on the island you can like see the boss fight.
That is wicked cool. When you get, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, in the final boss fight, you're not, stationary in front of them. You have to go through 2 different portals, which take you to an outlying area that
I'm so bad at getting to them.
you have to collect like motes, like Gambit. And then when you're done, you get a certain amount. It's like, okay, bring us back, and everything's dead. And you're just looking across the Vex, like milk little lake, and you're watching your buddies fight the boss right there. I tried taking a couple sniper shots at him. Of course, I think a bunch of people have tried that, but it's like, I could get him from here. Nope, it doesn't register, but it's still a cool element that you can see that.
And it really, like, it speaks to it being a more real environment, like, because it's sort of we were talking about earlier how you could see in First Light, Anon, you were saying you could see Archer's Line. It's like the places don't feel disconnected, even though there is instancing. Like, the places all feel like they're connected, and they're connected by common threads that aren't just like, oh, you can walk from here to here on the map, or oh, you can even see these things together. It's like the culmination of all of them, and then there's these really interesting set pieces that call them out to you, that like the game either sort of shunts you towards exploring them, or like hits you over the head with them, like with these sort of like big explosive bright places. Or like when you do on the moon, it's one of the weekly bounties to go get the lost sectors, the 3 different lost sectors, and then it gives you a chip to take to the server room. And you open the door. But like, if you go behind the thing where you hit the button, there's like a big window that just is like a viewport to Earth, and you can see this great sort of constrained skybox view of this amazing 3D environment. And it connects you back to the fact that, like, oh, well, we traveled here, and I walked around to all these places that the first humans that, colonized our moon in this world, is like their space that they built to do experiments and to do all this other stuff. And the map of that from the collector's edition is really cool. But like, it's just so cool that they physically connect them, and then they also draw these little threads between them that are like the ideas and the experiences we've had throughout, exploring it. It's like just so well layered.
Great design.
Mm-hmm. Now, one of the other endgame contents, and we've kind of like glossed over it a few times, is the Vex Offensive.
Oh, yeah.
Now, this is a piece of content that I believe is open to everybody without the season pass.
Need the season pass.
You do need it?
Yeah.
Oh, well.
This is the season pass content.
Hey, that's enough out of
you can do the one that's just in the public.
Well, but that's not the Vex Offensive.
Right, the offensive, the matchmaking part is, so some of the Vexy stuff is available to everybody.
Oh, right. Now I'm seeing it. Yeah, because I got the roadmap thing in front of me. I was looking on the right side. I'm just average, I swear. No, one of the this Vex offensive is for the last couple seasons or DLC drops they've been dropping is they're starting to incorporate 6-person matchmaking and 6-person activities. Because how many times we're in D1 where a 6-person team get good enough and they run through a raid in 45 minutes and it's like, okay, well, who wants to do PvP? Or another raid because there's nothing else to do.
Yeah, that was it.
Now last season they dropped. Well, actually, I think it was Drifter was the Reckoning. That was a great matchmaking activity. It didn't have 6 people, but still, nonetheless, it was a great jumping point. And then the Menagerie really took it off. I enjoy doing the Menagerie activity still. I think it's really wildly, a lot of fun. It seems like the Vex Offensive is the next step for this season, and I think it's really cool how you progress through the Black Garden as well, doing the encounters and fighting your way to a final boss. But each chest, just like a raid, you get a chest as you progress through it. I think it's just so cool. I'm really looking forward to the final
Vex
assault.
Offensive is really rewarding.
It is.
I feel like the loot pool needs to be bigger because it's so rewarding.
It's like you get everything, and it's like I already have.
I'm done.
10 different rolls of this gun now.
Yeah.
Yeah, stuff does drop like crazy through it, but
it's almost like a little overreaction in the direction.
Of the again, in comparison to say the Moon's loot, which you got to grind for and hope you get a good roll on, and then you go back for more. Like I like auto rifles. I think I've rolled 6 Arc Logics. I mean, and I'm still just kind of hoping for a little bit better. I have a Subsistence and Rampage one.
Ooh,
and it's wonderful. It's really good at ad clearing and it just never has to reload. But I'm trying to figure out, is there a better one? So I keep trying. But it takes me time. I got to kill so many people and do so many activities and stuff. Whereas I think I had 4 optatives in like 20 minutes doing that. So anyway.
And
then the final boss, you get 2 of them there too.
Yeah, it was
Scout Rifle. I've gotten so many of that Scout Rifle.
Yeah, and they're cool guns. Don't get me wrong. But.
Yeah, and they have good rolls too. Like there's new stuff on a lot of them in both pools. And I really do like Arc Logic is. Oh, dude, I've been rocking that. And then even the I'm blanking right now on whether or not it comes with the regular season pass or it's only if you've bought it or the battle pass, whatever the season ranks. But like the auto rifle and I've gotten the auto rifle and the LMG from that, the Pluperfect, and I forget what the other one's called, but they are also really cool. And the design on them is really cool. And it's just like, they're pushing you to get into all of these things, but then it's almost like, I do feel like some of it is still pretty shallow. Like they've widened that pool by having all these sort of other locations and these other activities that grant you access to that loot, but it hasn't really gotten that much deeper in some places. The armor has in its own way, but the weapons haven't. And then you're getting a lot of dupes, and maybe it makes good for finding a role, but I don't know. I just don't end up regrinding too much if I settle into like a lot of the perks just end up you can play style through them a little bit. Like, oh, I can actually use these if they synergize well, even if it's not a god roll. Like it's still they're good, but like I wish the tuning would come along a little bit more. And maybe we're just spoiled because we just got armor 2.0 and technically we already have weapons 2.0. Like maybe they just need some time for weapons 3.0 or drop table 2.0
right
or something.
Yeah, one day I'd like to have like more of a technical discussion about the actual game design and stuff. As much as I love the art, there's a lot of it. If you've been playing games your whole life, like the rest of us, I mean, there's stuff you go, wait, why isn't it? But it's hard to second guess them though, because you don't have the development process, you don't know the stuff behind it, everything. So it's
for sure.
It doesn't help,
Yeah, good point.
I actually just want to bring up one thing that I forgot to mention. In the Black Garden, back in D1, one of the popular things in the skybox was that big plateau that we'd always look at. And then in the raid, I'm pretty sure that's where we go. Because in an early encounter you can see it and then you can't see it anymore, and like we made a lot of progress towards an unknown space, so I'm pretty sure where the whole thing ends, it's on the plateau and it's got its own little like islands and stuff within it.
Well, the raid completion emblem also has that.
Yeah, like, the day one emblem is the plateau
it's the green one. Yeah, and that was so dope looking too.
Yeah, so I just thought that was really neat because that's actually another thing I just wanted to bring up about the environment design. That's actually another thing that ties it to Mars, because that plateau is based on, apparently, it's not something I've dug into. It's just something that I read about. It's an actual location on like physical Mars that they kind of took from it.
That's in the back of my head right now. That thing you're talking about.
Yeah.
Cool. I love how Bungie kind of does that stuff where they kind of like try to tie stuff that we know into the game. Like, wasn't there something about a satellite that NASA just launched that's supposed to crash somewhere eventually, and it's there in Destiny already?
The probe that
because
Craig
it has
Hargrove is putting out.
Foreshadowing.
Yeah, because they know where it's supposed to crash, and because Destiny's set in the future, they have it crashed there, supposedly.
It has a predictably decaying orbit.
Cydonia, Mensae, Cydonia. Yeah, that's in Cydonia on Mars. Yeah, one of my favorite things about any book or anything you do is like when they twist historical fact and just merge it enough to make it historical fiction kind of. Some of the more popular people out there, like Dan Brown, does this a lot with his stuff. The novelist who did like the Da Vinci Code and stuff. So he takes a lot of real factual history stuff, but then he like twists it just enough to where you learned a lot of actual things, but he angled it and made it into the realm of fiction, which is a lot of fun. So when games can do that, when they can take a historical event and tweak it just enough to make it fun. Assassin's Creed does it all the time.
That's the one I was thinking of.
Extremely fun.
Absolutely.
Odyssey, for instance, is one of my favorite games of all time now. I love it. And it does that a lot with all the mythological things. They tweaked it, made it all part of it. So
Horizon Zero Dawn also does that, where you're slowly realizing
later on.
Oh, did you? HCD also same thing. It slowly sort of reveals to you where you are on Earth, like what region of Earth you're in, by like finding these things around the environment. It's a very interesting way to like give people like a real life connection too, because like in D1. I remember looking in the skybox of Mars and being like, "Oh, that's Phobos." And my roommate at the time was like, "You don't know what you're talking about." And I'm like, "That's Phobos. Phobos is shaped like a potato. Like, look it up." Like, I know a little bit about the Mars of the moons of Mars. Like, give me that much credit. Yeah.
Well, before we wrap up, I know people are dipping out and this and that. We, it's getting kind of late. Does anybody have any final thoughts that they want to share about Shadowkeep before we move to start wrapping up?
I just kudos to the art team for managing to take old content, make it worth revisiting.
Yeah, it's a little the little different twist on all these things that we know and love.
I know some people don't like some of the armor designs, but that's always going to be the case. There's always going to be somebody that's out of it. I applaud them for taking a leap with that, the kind of the style of Eris Morn's regalia and stuff like that. I think that's really good.
Yeah.
And thank you for the weapon grind on the moon. I think of all the things. Again, nothing necessarily against some of the other things, but I think that one is probably the most satisfying. I liked, real quick, adventuring and finding the little trinkets to unlock each one of those things.
Yeah, you can actually see them on the map.
That was pretty cool.
That's a nice touch.
Yeah,
and then there are the parts that are on the weapon.
On the weapon, yeah.
Yep, that was a nice touch.
Hopefully they continue with that trend. I know Luke said in the developer diary, they kind of got to do 2 seasons ahead when they are planning things. So, if this was a hit here, we might see it again in 2 seasons.
A few seasons down the road.
Right.
Yeah.
So hopefully they take, all the lessons learned, take the criticisms with the grain of salt that they're required, and go on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well said.
Yeah, and I just totally agree. Like the thanks to the people who have like just originated so much of this stuff and then kept it relevant is like a huge deal, because it can be really hard to work on something consistently, especially with like a little bit of a feedback vacuum where it's like you're not super sure, so you just keep going. But like so many of these things unfolding, like making this game an MMO, like a real MMO, I feel like every one of them has hit for me completely, and I can't wait to see what else they do. It's going to be so great.
Right on. I can't wait to see how this season progresses and how it ties into the next one. Really makes you
agreed
excited to see what's next.
Yeah.
But I don't know about you guys, but I think that's a wrap for us tonight. I think Tyler, Ruby, you guys got anything to add? You guys have been pretty quiet.
All right.
I've just been enjoying the conversation, to be honest. So many things got touched on that just resonated with me, and it was just fun to hear other people's takes on it, you know what I mean, from what they liked, what they didn't like. I didn't really play much of the raid, so I didn't have much aspect to go off for that. But as far as like what Farron was talking about with like the grind for the weapons on the moon, I love that aspect. I love the whole design concept of the moon, and just kind of like the broader area that you're now in. So I just hope they continue down that path, because the game feels more like a world to me now than individual instances, which is kind of how it felt before. I felt like I was constantly loading into individual instances rather than like, wow, I'm like exploring it, like just the sanctuary on the moon alone, like how you can come in and out of that just running around patrol. Like that was stuff that made the expansion that much better to me.
I want them to use the public spaces for the content rather than throwing us into instances for content. It's just how
right.
Having everything go on in that public space just feels like the world just lives a little bit more.
It's appropriate.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
The forges, for instance, I don't know if I brought this up with you guys before, but the forges back in the day, you went through a public space to get to them, but then you're in a private space when you launch it. Whereas if they had taken
some back out at a certain time, you're in orbit.
Yeah, if they had lessened, like take some of the lesser used areas, I know they got the data for it, and have the world develop, have the forge get unearthed, and now it's something that you could publicly wander into, like a huge public event. Join in if you got the pieces, otherwise maybe assist. It seems like a slightly missed opportunity, but a lot of learning came from that, I'm assuming. Use the public spaces. I agree.
Yeah.
Well, that's kind of how like the Vex offensive feels to me. Is like you're just kind of patrolling around the moon, and then you're like, "Holy crap! There's like a huge fight going on, and there's a bunch of Guardians already there."
That's how it is.
The Vex invasions.
That's the invasion.
Yeah.
Vex invasions. Sorry, the ones on the moon.
The name's so similar, right?
Yeah, the invasions are awesome. Easily the best public events they've done. I mean,
So,
I love doing those.
I hope they continue kind of stuff like that in the future DLC.
Big time.
Yeah, and even maybe sunset some of the ones that are like the Cabal drop pods out by.
Would actually be interesting if they started like rotating public events with the seasons.
Yeah,
seems like they are. It seems like they are going to, because eventually the invasion is going to die off, and they'll go on to the next one.
Yeah, right. I want to see like the way that D1 had those evolving spaces where it's like, oh, now there's the wolves. You hunted the wolves, and then
those are always the best part of the thing, man.
Yeah, I love those world changes.
Awesome. Well, we're at almost hour and 50 minutes roughly. I think we're going to end it right there. I just want to say thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight. It's been a really awesome conversation, about Shadowkeep and just involving so many great people and everybody just sharing their passions and thoughts and everything on a particular game is just such a cool conversation. I mean, most of these conversations either happen, in your private life or while you're gaming with other people. So it's really cool to have this opportunity to talk with everybody about all the different aspects of a game. And I hope we do it again in the future.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Yeah, anytime.
Definitely.
Not literally anytime, but
Yeah, well.
You already said it, Ferry, and it's too late.
Crap. I'll see you at 9:45 tomorrow morning then.
All right. I'll be up.
You gotta put in work.
I gotta take a sick day because I gotta be on Pixels after dark in the morning.
That's right. Be sure to put it in now. That way they see it by 8.
That's right.
Great. We'll actually, in the show notes, everybody that's been on with us tonight, we'll have links to everybody that's been on chatting so you can find them and more of their content and socials, and you can troll them on there. It'll be a lot of fun. Thank you for listening. Everybody have a nice night.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.
This is the end.
Ruby, it's just us. Bye.
Good night, dude.
Later.